Or do you want to come back to that in another moment and I'll take another question?
I could combine both questions.
Right, good.
I'd like to say that I would, if I could have a choice, even though I'm safe to say my favorite scene in the movie, I would maybe go back and try and not have to run away from the ostriches in the ostrich scene, because that's where I was the most terrifying day of the entire shoot for me. And ostriches are really, and I think I've talked to a few of you already and told you that they are terrifying animals, even in their innocence. They can tear out your eyeballs and rip off your heart. And they seem like that they're, have eyes similar to mine, but they really don't. They can really do dangerous stuff to you, and so I would like to stop that from happening again.
Andy?
Question for Jerry and for Mike, yes. We're very much sort of in a 3D age. Was there ever any desire or even intention to maybe make this in 3D? And can I just get your opinions on sort of the 3D revolution, where it goes from here?
I think we talked about it briefly, but Avatar hadn't come out yet, so you couldn't see, the impact 3D could have, and certainly the studio wasn't going to spend the extra money. Plus, Avatar was done all on a soundstage, pretty much, a hangar, and this picture was done in Morocco. Majority of it was done in Morocco, so it was much more difficult to work with two cameras in the sand and the heat than it was. And 3D is here to stay. I mean, it certainly has taken over cinema.
The young lady there.
This question's for Gemma, and you play a really strong female character, which is really refreshing. But my question for you was, by playing this princess who almost rescues Jake half the time through the movie, what did you learn about being a woman? Something that you hadn't, learned before. You're pretty young, so.
Yeah, I feel like I'm quite similar to Tamina in many ways, not as graceful or tanned, but yeah, just being strong is actually really attractive, and I think that's one of the reasons why he probably falls for her. And sometimes I feel like if you're a strong, independent woman, it scares people away, but actually I think it does the opposite.
Darryl?
Gemma, expanding on that a little bit, we've talked about Jake's physicality, but you actually have quite a physical role in more restrictive clothing. So was that a problem? And also, before the Clash of the Titans premiere, you said that your parents used to read you ancient Greece stories. I wondered if your interest in 6th century Persia was this similar?
I have to say that it was a whole new subject for me. I was much more familiar with the Greek myths. So that's why it was really interesting actually doing this film and looking at all the artwork, and I mean it was very much based in fiction, but it's still such an interesting time. And also, what was the question before that? I have a really short memory.
Your physicality.
Oh,
and
yes.
Restrictive clothing.
Oh yeah. The clothing was quite restrictive. Although I didn't have to do like jumping off walls and things like that. And when I did have to do anything, running around in anything, it was quite, it was quite loose. So thank goodness, because you could have got an eyeful, couldn't you, Jake? It would have been great. It was hot in Morocco. You're right. Yeah.
The young man there.
It's a question for Jerry. Ben told us yesterday about the politics and the hierarchy on a movie set. So how do you see your role, the man who has been referred to as the most powerful man of Hollywood? And how don't you lose track of all your projects? I mean,
that's fiction by the media. That's not really true. But no, we just tried to have a movie set that runs smoothly, and people can have a good time even though they're working very hard in the heat. And I think that's because of Mike and our actors. They handled the set so well, and everybody had a good time. And that's what it's about.
The young man up there at the back who's been waiting patiently.
Yeah. Video games to movie adaptations haven't traditionally been brilliant, or in fact good. What made you think that this was going to be different, and did you force the cast to play hours of computer games for research purposes?
To whom are you directing the question?
To Jordan, to Mike, to Jerry.
Mike, maybe you can pick that up first of all, please.
Yeah, well, I was hopeless. I was completely hopeless. I didn't realise to start with that it was a video game.